Imagine being in a merry-go-round that's spinning so fast. You get dizzy, you lose your balance, you're disoriented, and you feel sick. You start feeling nauseous, or worse, you actually end up throwing up. You could be suffering an attack of vertigo. But it's not just headache or dizziness. It's a condition that involves the balance centers of the inner ear and the brain. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Today on the show, we'll explain why vertigo causes these paralyzing dizzy spells and how they can be treated or even prevented. Welcome to MedTalk Health Talk. Dizziness and balance is a very complex topic, but our guest for today will simplify that for you. Joining us on the program are Dr. Joel Romualdez. He's the section head of the Hearing and Balance Disorders Laboratory of the St. Luke's Medical Center in Quezon City. We also have Dr. Cheridin Oro Josef. She's a family and geriatric medicine specialist from the Marikina Doctors Hospital and Medical Center. It's good to have both of you on the show today. Vertigo is a symptom rather than an illness, and it's commonly caused by the way balance works in our inner ear, although it can also be caused by problems in certain parts of the brain. Now, I'll start first with Dr. Joel. Could you please describe for us what a person typically feels when they are having a vertigo attack?
For these symptoms of course, as you said, vertigo is a symptom. But generally, once a patient has vertigo, they will complain of a spinning sensation. Okay? And this can also be they're moving sideways, or even they feel like they're turning. No? So generally, this will be defined as meron tayong movement, no? An illusion of movement, may it be the environment moving or ourselves moving. And this can also be associated with several symptoms like they can have nausea, no? Nasusuka sila. So mostly, especially for acute attacks of vertigo, this can be disabling for our patients.
Yes, that's very true. And for someone who feels true vertigo for the first time, it can be very uncomfortable. Nako, at pwede rin itong nakakatakot na pakiramdam because it's the sensation that you are actually moving even though you are not. And this can cause a lot of anxiety, even fear. Now, Dr. Cheridin, a common symptom that causes much anxiety with some people is when you stand up from sitting or lying down for some time and you suddenly feel dizzy and you may even lose your balance for a moment. Karaniwan, minsan yung mga pasyente, akala nila na vertigo yung nararamdaman nila, ngunit baka ibang process pala yung nangyayari dun sa nararamdaman nilang imbalance kapag tumayo ka agad.
Yes, because there are a lot of symptoms or definitions or descriptions of vertigo. Sa atin, hilo lang lahat yan eh. So meron talaga yung vertigo na umiikot ng paligid as described by Dr. Romualdez. Meron din yung parang nahihilo lang because of changes in blood pressure or orthostatic hypotension, tinatawag natin. No? So nag-change because of the blood circulation in the body. It may not really be vertigo, but for a simple Filipino, ang tawag niya dyan hilo, vertigo. Pare-pareho para sa kanya yan. So it may not be vertigo as the symptom, as the disease that you're saying, but it's still a dizzying spell ang tawag natin.
Now, patients who suffer from vertigo are often unable to function properly. Even the simplest things are very hard to do. And that's why a lot of patients with vertigo end up staying in bed. Now, Dr. Joel, anong impormasyon ang dapat malaman ng pasyente in order for you to determine if the type of vertigo they have is either peripheral or central? Importante ito because the type of treatment that you may give for them may depend on what type of vertigo they have.
With regard to the evaluation, and of course, pag tinatanong natin yung pasyente, importante dyan yung timing. No? So, yung ating bang hilo, on and off, dire-diretso ba siya? And according to studies, mostly pag on and off, ito yung mga mostly peripheral. Pero pag continuous, increasing severity, or for example, increasing number of attacks, then of course, they have to seek consult, and it can also be central in origin. Another thing that we have to note is if there are aggravating symptoms or what we call as triggers, no? Like for example, the most common cause will be benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. Ito yung top klase ng sakit wherein pag nag-move sila on one side, they will feel vertigo, and this usually lasts only for minutes. So may mga triggers. May mga iba rin naman na sakit na nagkakos na walang, for example, walang trigger. Like for example, Meniere's. Dito, parang dumadami yung tubig sa loob ng inner ear and because of that, nagkakaroon ng pasyente ng paghihilo, meron din siyang umuugong sa tenga and of course, very important will be the hearing loss. And this should be documented. And sabi ko nga, ang pinaka-importante dito will be to distinguish between a peripheral vertigo caused by inner ear pero kailangan nating malaman na meron ding mga life-threatening conditions. So ano itong mga life-threatening conditions? It can be secondary to a stroke, no? And of course, kung may stroke, meron tayong mga symptoms like for example, pamamanhid sa katawan, panghihina ng kalahati ng katawan or kahit sa mukha. Kuminsan, meron tayong cardiovascular causes. Kailangan tingnan natin kung sumasakit ba yung dibdib ng pasyente or meron ba siyang palpitation or nahihimatay ba siya, which we call as presyncope, no? So itong mga bagay na to ay kailangan makita natin pag ang pasyente ay pumunta sa atin para magpatingin. Pero sa ating mga viewers ngayon, kung for example yung vertigo nyo is medyo tumatagal na or sa tingin nyo nga ay hindi nag-i-improve, then of course you have to seek consult.
That's right. So marami talagang variables ang hilo or ang vertigo. At pag-uusapan natin yan later on in the show. But first, Dr. Cheridin, vertigo can actually affect the young and older people alike, ano? But when our more senior patients get vertigo, extra care should be done for them because of a much more serious condition that could be happening. Ano itong condition na dapat ma-rule out muna?
Sa mga matatanda po, minsan, di ba, yan sila mga history na bumagsak sila, nabagok sila, and then they suddenly nagiging progressive yung hilo, dahan-dahan yung hilo. It could be what Dr. Joel was saying, na it could be a stroke or it could be merong blood rupture, blood vessel rupture in the brain, no? Na minsan nakikita lang nila, nararamdaman nila after 2 to 3 weeks already of the fall. So that's number one for the elderly. Also, vertigo can be caused by a lot of medications that they are taking. So very common po sa elderly ang hilo because of the changes in the eyes and in their ear function. So that's why very common na parang lightheaded sila, parang nagsispin sila from time to time, nahihilo, para silang umiikot, or pag tumatayo sila, para talaga silang walang balanse.
That's right. And if you have persistent vertigo, your best recourse is to really see your doctor. And there are treatment options available depending on the severity and the cause. We'll discuss more when we come back. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. To better understand how vertigo occurs, we'll first talk a little bit about the anatomy of the ear. Dr. Joel, most of our viewers are aware that our ears are responsible for us to be able to hear sound. But what may not be new to some is that this is also where the balance center for our body resides. Please explain how balance works.
Fred, actually sa loob ng tenga natin, sa inner ear, meron tayong tinatawag na semicircular canals at saka otolithic organs. Now, itong mga organs na to will be responsible, parang sensor sila, no? Pag gumalaw yung ulo natin, may sensor siya. So, nakikita nung tenga kung saan gumalaw, anong direction, and at the same time, gaano kabilis yung paggalaw ng ulo. Ang unang response na very important is to stabilize the gaze. And ito ay produkto ng interaction between the eye at saka, of course, our vestibular system. The second way para makontrol yung ating balance is basically postural control. So therefore, ito effect ng mga muscles natin sa katawan na kung kailangang stabilize yung ating katawan, then mag-work yung muscles natin and yung ating mga joints na tinatawag.
Now that we know how balance works, what happens when things go wrong? Why does a person feel like they are in a merry-go-round that doesn't stop kapag may vertigo sila?
Okay, sabi nga natin, pwedeng ang problema doon will be any system. Most commonly, galing siya sa inner ear, no? And sinasabi rin, in a small percentage, pwedeng caused by central problem or systemic problems. Ang binibigay, for example, ng mata at ang tenga will be different. Pag nakasakay ka sa sasakyan, tenga will say, gumagalaw ka, when in fact, kung hindi mo nakikita yung daan, then yung visuals mo will say, nandudong ka lang sa isang place. So ito yung tawag natin na sensory mismatch, and this is more commonly seen sa mga pasyenteng merong motion sickness. No? So this motion sickness will be caused by this specific mismatch.
Now, before your doctor gives you your treatment options, you'll need a proper diagnosis because yun naman talaga ang napaka-importante. Now, Dr. Cheridin, please explain to us how vertigo is diagnosed. What kind of tests do you usually give your patients?
Okay, diagnosing vertigo is difficult, no? Kasi you have to find out if it's central or peripheral. You have to find out the cause. Kasi lahat po yan, ang description ng pasyente ay hilo. So personally po, paano natin siya dinadiagnose? Tinatanong ko po kung ano-ano yung mga gamot na iniinom, gaano katagal na po ito, the severity, and then how long has this been going on? Is it few seconds or a long time? So history is very important to find out lang po ano yung cause talaga ng pagkahilo niya. No? Tsaka para malaman natin if this is caused by the food that he ate, the medications that the patient has taken, the chronic diseases that he has, diabetes, hypertension, etc. May mga maneuvers pong ginagawa sa ang mga doktor, like ako po, pinapatayo ko sila, chine-check ko how they walk, they stand up with their eyes closed, check the balance. But basically, we do the physical examination and the test very cautiously kasi baka lalo natin na-trigger yung hilo sa kanila.
Now, during a vertigo attack, lying still in a quiet, dark room may actually help ease some of the symptoms. And avoiding stressful situations can also help as anxiety makes the symptoms of vertigo even worse. Now, some cases of vertigo improve over time, even with minimal or no treatment at all. However, there are some people who have repeated episodes for months or even years. Now, benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, or BPPV, can be diagnosed and treated using a series of simple head movements called the Dix-Hallpike or even the Epley's maneuver. Now, Dr. Joel, these movements let's say, an Epley's maneuver may seem odd at first glance, but what are these movements actually trying to achieve that makes it effective in treating BPPV?
Siguro kailangan nating maintindihan kung paano nagsisimula ang BPPV. So ito kosto ng maliliit na sand particles which comes also from the inner ear. Now pumupunta to sa semicircular canal na dapat hindi siya nandoon. So therefore, pag lumingon yung pasyente sa kanan at yun yung affected na side, meron siyang hilo at meron tayong tinatawag na nystagmus. So yung mata, makikita mo umiikot. So ginagawa natin yung Dix-Hallpike maneuver para ma-diagnose to. So mataas ang chances na pag nag-positive yung Dix-Hallpike maneuver, then ito yung problema. Now, sa Epley maneuver naman, ang ginagawa natin dito will be movement ng ulo at saka katawan para ilagay ulit natin yung tinatawag natin na sand particles or yung otolith doon sa kanyang pinagpuntahan, which is the utricle. No? Itong ating Epley maneuver ay mataas ang tsansa na after ng first maneuver, yung pasyente natin will be feeling better.
Dr. Joel, you also mentioned kanina na one of the causes for vertigos is Meniere's disease. Could you explain to our viewers kung anong klaseng treatment ang dapat kailangan kung kapag ang isang tao ay may Meniere's disease?
Okay, for Meniere's disease, nagkakaroon ng maraming tubig sa loob ng inner ear na talaga namang may tubig doon. Kaya lang, ang production or for example, ang kanilang pagdaloy mula sa inner ear, mukhang hindi maganda. So pagka, for example, dumami ang tubig na to, then merong hilo, meron tayong hearing loss, at meron tayong tinnitus or umuugong sa tenga. Then ang primary preventive measures or measure na binibigay natin initially will be, of course, low sodium diet. Kasi ang sodium, yun yung mag-i-imbibe ng tubig sa loob ng tenga. So therefore, sinasabihan natin yung mga pasyente na huwag masyadong kumain ng mga maaalat. No? Also, kailangan well-hydrated rin yung pasyente, no, para mag-improve yung circulation sa ating tenga.
Yes, so a lot of options definitely for someone who is suffering from vertigo. So please talk to your doctor with regards to which therapeutic treatment is right for you. Now, your doctor can also prescribe medications in order to treat episodes of vertigo. Dr. Cheridin, pagdating sa gamot, safe ba ang mga halamang gamot na pangkaraniwang ginagamit sa pagkahilo tulad ng yerba buena, lagundi?
Yes, may mga halamang gamot na pwede natin gamitin para makatulong para po sa ating mga vertigo spells. So pwede silang uminom ng mga yerba buena, even lagundi can help, no? Even the other green and leafy vegetables, no? Kasi it improves circulation. Pwede nilang kainin po yan.
The food we eat influences our health. And for those with vertigo, changes in their diet can either lessen or raise the risk of a vertigo attack. Let's find out more after a short break. Stay with us. This is MedTalk Health Talk, where your care comes first. We are together in health right here on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Some types of food can trigger or worsen vertigo, although others experience improvements in their symptoms after eating certain types of food. Dr. Cheridin, what types of food should people with vertigo avoid?
Okay, so number one po, lahat ng mga salty food you have to avoid, no, maalat. Those with preservatives, like your mga delata, tinatawag natin, yung common kinakain natin sa almusal, they could be very salty. Cup noodles or noodle-based na mga powder-based na maalat, iiwasan po natin yan. Caffeinated drinks too. So actually, when I started having vertigo attacks, I stopped drinking coffee na. But you can take coffee also naman basta mga decaffeinated or maybe 1 cup lang. But you have to avoid caffeinated drinks kasi nakaka-aggravate po siya ng pagkahilo. You also have to avoid yung mga pinausukang pagkain, no? Kasi these are normally mga na-preserve with a lot of salt. So yung mga tinapa, etc. Even mga keso, mga cheese food. No? So probably too much cheese in your pizza. They may not be the cause, but they may aggravate or they may trigger some of your dizzying spells. And then also some maasim, sobrang asim, mga lemonadang sobrang asim or juices sobrang asim. You also need to cut down on your sugar, too much sugar. No? You know, after eating so much sweet, sometimes you feel like you are so dizzy. No? So you have to cut down on all these things or try to avoid it just to lessen the attacks or the severity of your dizzying spells.
Now, Dr. Cheridin, ano kaya ang explanation kung bakit itong mga pagkain na ito ang one of the reasons kung bakit nag-trigger ng vertigo attack?
Oh, remember po, yung salt, yung sodium natin, tinatawag natin, it's a pagtawag natin, water absorption. No? So, sobrang alat po, it can also affect our blood pressure. Okay? So, may epekto po yan sa pagdaloy ng dugo sa ating mga ugat. So, it can somehow affect our sense of balance. As explained earlier by Dr. Joel, it could be circulatory. No? So, sobrang alat po yan. So, it has to do with electrolyte exchanges in our circulation. No? So, kaya yung sodium po talaga iwasan po natin kasi naapektuhan po niya yung hydration ng ating semicircular canals. Remember, this is fluid yung ating semicircular canals or the vestibular system.
And in as much as there are food that triggers your vertigo, there are practices that you can do that can help you manage your vertigo attacks. For one, staying hydrated can help. Dr. Joel, what other things can you advise our viewers on how they can manage vertigo?
Most common problem kasi sa mga pasyenteng may vertigo, hindi sila nagagagalaw. Usually nakastay lang sila sa bed, no? Or nakaupo lang and hindi sila umiikot sa loob ng bahay. And therefore, isa to sa mga factors kung bakit mga taong may vertigo nagpo-prolong, no, yung ating paghihilo. No, so what they can probably do is do exercises sa bahay. No, aside from sinabi nga ni Dr. Sherry kanina, they have to eat healthy foods that will help us, of course, in our prevention of vertigo. And of course, bawasan din natin yung mga vices like for example, alcohol and for example, smoking or pagpupuyat sa gabi. Kung maiiwasan sila, then of course, iwasan natin.
Very good. And with that, I'd like to thank our guest, ENT Head and Neck Surgeon, Dr. Joel Romualdez, and Family and Geriatric Medicine Specialist, Dr. Cheridin Oro Josef. Vertigo can range from mild to severe, and it can last from a few seconds to even days, and can be debilitating. Equally frustrating is that there is no one-size-fits-all cure. But that doesn't mean there aren't available remedies that actually work. But you can end your misery and make the world stop twirling around you. By working alongside doctors, there is always help, hope, and a better way at managing your symptoms and taking control of your life. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. This is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Stay safe, everyone.